I will say that Republican messaging on the big beautiful bill has just been god awful. I mean, look, Trump is using the big beautiful bill through budget reconciliation to deliver on his campaign promises that he couldn't put through regularly because through like regular legislative process, because passing it with a lack of a clear majority is basically impossible. And so it has been a back and forth with the Senate parliamentarian about how much he can change and whether or not this is just finances moving around or they're trying to introduce new legislation through like kind of a different cloak saying it's budget reconciliation. And there has even been some calls to fire the budget parliamentarian in that process. But at the end of it all, after going through the House, going through the Senate, changing and going back to the House, with some Republicans saying that, actually quite a few Republicans saying that the process was so fast that they didn't really even know everything that was in the bill, including Marjorie Taylor Greene saying she would probably have voted against the bill if she knew that there was legislation saying you couldn't regulate AI for the next 10 years in any state, on states in the entire country on the state level. There would be a difference when it comes to rural hospitals. There were a lot of Republican holdouts there because the voters that have turned towards Trump in the last few days, the last few years have been lower income voters, ones that are on Medicaid, where there are being cuts placed. And due to the bureaucratic burdening, that is going to have an effect on them. There are cuts to rural hospitals, which have been drawn back slightly, but are still real because for the massive tax cuts that Trump are keeping into law and extending, for the new tax cuts that Trump is bringing into place, that money needs to come from somewhere. And that doesn't mean that all of his promises are being delivered. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt tweeted out, anyone who votes against the one big beautiful bill is voting against no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. But the thing is, and it even says in the added context right below it, there is tax on tips in this bill. There is tax on overtime in this bill, and there is tax on oversecurity. The majority of the tax relief is concentrated in wealthier income margins. While there is tax relief for some working people, there is some limitations on tax on tips that has to do with a cap. For example, limiting deductions to $25,000 when it comes to tips, meaning that if you get $25,001 in tips, and we're talking about a lot of service industry jobs where, you get more than that, where the majority of your income is coming from tips, that means you're still going to be paying taxes on tips. For no tax on overtime, well, it was capped at $12,500. For Social Security, well, this has no provision to remove taxes on Social Security whatsoever. That was just completely made up. And again, this is the press secretary lying 3 times in a row, completely flagrantly. But because our press meetings have like a 1 in 3 chance of looking like a North Korea style rah rah, go president, let me lick your boots. Not only are we embarrassed by the line, but we're embarrassed by the lack of pressure on the lying during these press meetings. And so rural hospitals are hurt. Medicaid cuts are real, and it's basically universally bipartisanly despised. Well, bipartisanly is not a word, but it's bipartisan that Medicaid cuts are bad. Not from everyone's perspective, but from the majority of Americans' perspective. And the big beautiful bill is not popular. For the people who know about the big beautiful bill, those who have heard about it, 2 in 3 people are opposed. Now, of course, there's a question about how much do people really know about the big beautiful bill. There's a lot of people who don't know about the big beautiful bill, and it's going to be the job of the Democrats to make sure people know about the impacts of the big beautiful bill, which not only has these cuts to services, but also increases deficit spending, increases the debt. And there was 2 scorings, and the Republicans were kind of holding out for the dynamic scoring because the 9 dynamic scoring said that would increase the debt by like 2.4 trillion over 10 years. And then the dynamic scoring came out, which was supposed to include the increases in economic activity from the tax cuts, and it actually made the debt larger by further hundreds of billions of dollars. I think it actually went up to like $3.2 trillion over 10 years. So the big beautiful bill has a lot of problems, and I don't believe it is either big or beautiful. And I believe if Republican messaging is anything like this, as many are nervous to defend it to their constituents, they're going to have some problems. Especially as more people are going to hear stories of people who were kicked off of Medicaid because they forgot to fill out a certain paperwork this month, or because, they didn't understand the process, or because the website didn't work after trying to submit the paper 3 times. All real problems that people find when trying to deal with the bureaucracy that is trying to get healthcare with the government, and these type of restrictions that they're trying to place on it, and basing off of the system, because they're basing it off of a private system, off of a private option. I believe I think it was a trial option done in North Carolina or South Carolina. 1 second. Healthcare trial modeled Medicaid cuts. I can't find the exact model, but essentially what they're doing is they're denying care. They're trying to find more ways to put restrictions between people in that care. And the only way you're going to save money is not the way that that Mike Johnson describes. The way Mike Johnson describes it is, hey, we are sick of all these able-bodied workers sitting on the couch gobbling up my health care. So instead, we're going to tell them they have to go seek work if they want to get that health care. Mind you, that many of these people who are going to be denied Medicaid are going to be people who are seeking work, or could even be people who have jobs, but because, again, of the barriers that are being placed by the government, are going to have a disincentive to do so. And it has a real impact, and studies show so. If people try to submit a document 4 or 5 times on the government website and it doesn't work, or they have to do it every single month, people are going to end up without coverage. And when you say, oh, we're going to deny only the able-bodied people don't collect on health care. Able-bodied people don't have to go see the doctor. So when they say the able-bodied people are going to be the ones not covered, that's nonsense. Because it's not the able-bodied people who are going to have to go get medical help. So I don't think this message is going to work when these stories start impacting people that, Americans know.
Can I ask you, though, about the CBO score and the idea that 11 million, 12 million Americans may lose health insurance?
I don't have any faith and confidence in the CBO. They're scoring. They're wrong half the damn time. I don't give any. No,
so
I'm not worried about the CBO.
You're not worried at all that Americans may lose their health care?
Oh, well, just some Americans that aren't Americans, and that is the illegals. Why should illegals be on Medicare? Shouldn't have it. We did a great job with it all. We did a great job. I appreciate it. The American people spoke. The American people spoke, and
they said Medicaid cuts.
Elected representatives spoke today, and what did we do? We supported and passed this one big, beautiful bill. So now you got to accept it and absorb it because it's the right thing to do for the American people.
Illegals. Again, when we're talking about the strategy here, they're not saving money by denying services to undocumented immigrants. They're saving money by denying services to people who either didn't fill out the paperwork or weren't able to deliver the paperwork on, like, after enough times on the website, or those, for whatever reason, were not able to prove to these standards that they were sufficiently seeking work in their mind. They can only save money on healthcare costs by denying care. And so it's not going to be surprising in the next few years when the amount of people covered by health insurance is going to drastically decrease in this country. And I think, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be like a 15 to 20% percentile, but it's going to be millions of Americans that are going to lose their health insurance. Also, I did want to give a quick shout out to Elon Musk, because I got to say, Donald Trump, I've always given him a lot of flack for being a flip-flopper, for going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth on issues. But Elon Musk might be even better when it comes to criticizing the Trump administration in reference to the big, beautiful bill. With Elon Musk having come out against Trump, saying, "Hey, you're in the Epstein files. You know, I'm not happy with stuff that's going on. This big beautiful bill is going to bankrupt the country." Then, after getting some pressure in reverse, Elon backed off and deleted his posts about Trump being in the Epstein files, deleted a bunch of his critiques of Trump, and he quieted down. But then recently, as the big beautiful bill approached passing, Elon Musk resumed his offensive, saying that he would back those who oppose the big beautiful bill, and he would support the primaries of those who helped pass it, helped pass it. Then Elon Musk went on to take this poll from the Quantus Insights. Okay, Quantus Insights. I've always heard it. Who doesn't know of Quantus Insights? Okay, I have no clue if they're reputable or not. I'm gonna just say that I am not one to trust these numbers on their face. But according to Quantus Insights, Elon Musk says 40% of Americans support Elon Musk starting a new political party called the America Party, while 38% don't support and 22% unsure. Mind you, there's probably a good chance that a certain amount of those people just like the idea of a third party, but also this is an America Party. That's very vague, isn't it? What are their values? What do they fight for? Who are their representatives? Are they just fighting for the interests of the richest man in the world? Or are they going to be, of a certain are they going to be grounded somewhere? There's no details. And I think as more details surfaced, and then, they ended up running some, SpaceX intern for congressional seats, maybe that support would go down. Not to mention all of the basic institutional barriers that Elon Musk is going to face, just like the Green Party face, just like the Libertarian Party face, just like any other third party faces. But Elon Musk responded to this saying, encouraging. Now, look, maybe Elon Musk is not serious about pursuing a third party. Pursuing a third party, honestly, is a fool's errand. But if Elon Musk was to pursue a third party, the Republicans losing enough votes to it to lose an election is not inconceivable. So it could be an example of Elon Musk trying to throw around his clout to some amount, saying, look, I can always jump ship. I spent $290 million on Trump's campaign last time. Why couldn't I just spend 350, 400 million to start a new party and try to run candidates? Again, I doubt it would have much success, but it could still take away enough votes to hurt the Republicans. Hey, Dylan, can we see you do a drag makeup tutorial? This feels like a really easy way for me to try to milk donations.